Hi viewers, my name is Kyle Raymond Arminta.
I am Clint Mutwasan. My name is Jarin B. Molingan. My name is Peter J. Nagtakad.
My name is Luis Calape.
And today, I will be your teacher.
And I will be your teacher. I will be your teacher. I will be your teacher.
I will be your teacher. And we are going to be learning about non-journalistic text.
A non-journalistic text is any written material that is not intended for news reporting or journalism. Instead of delivering current events or factual news stories, these texts are usually created to inform, explain, or persuade in other contexts. And today we're going to talk about 4 non-journalistic texts. We have sequence and process, comparison and contrast, problem and solution, and cause and effect. So the first structure we're going to talk about today is sequence or process. So by definition, a text structure that presents events or steps in the order they happen. It explains how something is done or how something occurs step by step. So the purpose of it is to guide you readers or us readers through a process or to show the chronological flow of events. Signal words like first, next, then, finally, after, before, step 1 and step 2. And the examples of these are like recipes, instructions, historical timelines, or how-to guides. So the skills we want you to achieve today, viewers, is we want you to understand, or you should be able to identify the order of actions and understand how each step contributes to the overall meaning or outcome. Next is we have comparison and contrast. So it is a text structure that highlights similarities and differences between 2 or more subjects, ideas, or concepts. So the purpose of it is to clarify meaning by showing how things are alike or different, helping readers make distinctions or connections. Each signal words are similar to, likewise, both, unlike, however, on the other hand, and in contrast. Examples of it are like essays comparing online versus face-to-face classes, articles contrasting 2 historical figures, and product reviews. So the skill that we want you to achieve today after this session is we want you to be able to recognize points of similarity and difference and explain how these comparisons deepen understanding of the topic.
Now that we are done with sequence or process and comparison and contrast, now let us move on to our third non-journalistic text, which is the problem and solution. A problem is a situation that causes difficulty or needs to be fixed. A solution is the action or method used to solve that problem. Writers use this structure to present an issue and then suggest ways to resolve it. For example is that, imagine that our classroom becomes very messy after activities. The problem is the messy classroom. A possible solution is assigning cleaning duties or encouraging new students to throw their trash properly. Now let us move on to our last structure, which is the cause and effect. A cause is the reason why something happens, while an effect is the result or outcome of that cause. This structure explains the relationship between events. For example, heavy rain is the cause, while flooding the streets is the effect. Another example is studying hard, which is the cause, and getting high grades, which is the effect.
Okay, readers, now that you have learned all 4 types of non-journalistic text, let us actually look at some examples for each one and try to apply our knowledge.
Let us start with sequence or process. Please look at this text on screen. Pause the video so that you can read the entire text. In this example, the steps are clearly arranged from the beginning of the process to the end. The signal words first, next, then, and finally help guide the reader through each step. Without this clear order, it would be difficult for someone to follow the instructions correctly. This shows how sequence or process structure helps readers understand how something happens step by step. Next is comparison and contrast. Read this example on screen. Now in this example, the writer first presents a similarity between the 2 forms of reading. After that, the text highlights their differences. Words like however and while helps signal that the text is comparing and contrasting ideas, problem and solution. Again, look at the example on the screen. In this example, the first sentence introduces the problem, which is the procrastination leading to stress. The second sentence presents a solution, which is managing time through a schedule. Lastly, we have cause and effect. Again, please refer to the example on the screen. In this example, the cause is the student's preparation and practice. And of course, the effect is their successful presentation and the positive response they received.
Now that we've explored how these four elements are applied, let's check your understanding. I prepared a short 5-minute quiz to test your knowledge. Are you ready? So here's the direction. Read each sentence or short passage. Identify whether it shows sequence or process, comparison or contrast, cause or effect, or problem or solution. Are you done? Alright, time is up. Let's answer these 5 items. For the item number 1, the answer is sequence process. This is sequence process because it lists the steps in making a paper fan. For number 2, the answer is comparison and contrast. This is comparison and contrast because it points out the difference between Maria and Anna's favorite sports. For the number 3, the answer is cause and effect. This is cause and effect because the cause is heavy rain and the effect is cancelled. For number 4, the answer is problem and solution. This is problem and solution because the problem is noise and the solution is putting up signs. For the last number, the answer is sequence and process. This is sequence process because it shows the order of steps in the life cycle of butterfly, like eating, forming a chrysalis, etc. For the last number, the answer is sequence and process. This is sequence and process because it shows the order of steps in the life cycle of a butterfly. Like for example, eating, forming a chrysalis, then becoming a butterfly.
Hi Weavers! Today we learned that non-journalistic texts are written to form, explain, or clarify ideas. They help readers to understand topics clearly by using specific text structures. First, we discuss sentence or process, which represents steps in order. This structure is commonly used in instructions, procedures, or explanations of how something happens. Second, we explored comparison and contrast, which shows similarities and differences between two or more ideas. This structure helps readers analyze the relationship. Third, we examine cause and effect, which explains why something happens and what results from it. These structures answer the questions, why did it happen? What happened because of it? Signal words include like since, therefore, and as a result. Lastly, we learned about problem and solution, which presents an issue and suggests way to solve it. This structure is useful in persuasive and analytical writing. Words such as problem, solution, challenge, and resolve often signal this pattern. Great job, Weavers! Understanding non-journalistic text structures will make you more critical reader and more organized writer. Keep practicing identifying these patterns in articles, textbooks, and even online posts. The more you recognize them, the more it easier becomes to understand complex information. Remember, clarity in structures leads to clarity in meaning. Keep learning and keep improving.